This man was admitted to the Somerset and Bath Lunatic Asylum in 1905. His name was John Selman, and today I will tell you his story. He was born in 1849 in Bath, Somerset, to Francis Selman and Mary Merrill. His father was a gardener for some of the richest men in the area. In 1872 he married Clara Ellen Oaten in Uffculme, Devon. They had a son Thomas in 1874. He was followed by Robert in 1875 and James in 1878. The family lived in Bridewell Lane, Bath, and John worked as a compositor. The 1891 and 1901 census shows him in the Bath Union Workhouse, and on the 24th of December 1905, he was admitted to the Bath and Somerset Lunatic Asylum. The reason for admittance, mania. The report said he was thin and grey, eyes bluish, greyish bared, and reflexes sluggish in reaction. Mentally is wild and excited, talks continuously and incoherently, states he is an archangel sent from heaven to preach the gospel and insists on manna sent from heaven. December 25th, 1905, has only slept about 1 hour. He's been restless and excited, is convinced electric currents are working on him. December 27th, 1905, sleeping draught administered, slept about 5 hours, still persistently talks about electric currents, which wander about him and come out of his elbows. He is, however, less restless. December 31st, 1905, is the subject of mania, says he is a prophet sent by God to teach the Gospels. Poor bodily health and condition. January 7th, 1906, remains about the same, is quieter and insists he is getting rid of the electric currents. January 14th, 1906, remains in bed, restless at times, rambling and incoherent in conversation, retains his delusions. January 21st, 1906, has been allowed up, restless and continuously changing his seat, and requires careful watching. February 14th, 1906, remains restless and demented, continually throwing his arms about and requires constant supervision, talks unintelligibly and incoherently, and has no knowledge of his surroundings. He says he has been fed with manna from heaven during the night, crawls about the floor and will not stay in bed, or keep his clothes on. Tied a piece of string tightly round his neck. February 22nd, 1906, tried to set himself on fire. He says he is an archangel sent by His Majesty the King to preach the gospel. December 13th, 1907, is vacant and dull and has a weakened intellect. He would be unable to make a living doing anything outside. He is very lost at times, moderate health. April 11th, 1908, he now works in the garden but has little mind or memory. He considers himself a young man about to start life, is silly and irrational. April 7th, 1909, he is somewhat depressed and does not take much interest in anything. Fair health. October 29th, 1909, he has relapsed, is in Ward 6, twists sheets around his neck and throws his bedclothes about, wanders about the room and will not stay in bed, destructive of his clothing and dirty in his habits. January 20th, 1910, had scolitis but is progressing well. March 18th, 1910, he has been getting weaker, yesterday unable to swallow. Until then he had taken his food fairly well. March 20th, 1910, died today at 12:50 a.m. Cause of death, organic brain disease. He was aged 62. He was buried in an unmarked grave in the Mendip Hospital Cemetery. So rest in peace, John, you will be remembered.